What's up, guys? So today I'm going to be showing you guys two separate things. So how to know what's worth picking up on eBay and how to know what's just worth passing on for one. And then also how to look up items because that's how you're going to determine whether you want to buy them or not. So first thing we're going to be going over, kind of both at the same time, is just going to be sell-through rate of an item. So sell-through rate on eBay is how resellers calculate whether an item's worth picking up or not. So an example would be a lot of sellers say you kind of want to go for a sell-through rate around at least 50% or above. So a 100% sell-through rate would look like, say you search up an item and there's 90 listed and 90 sold, then that means that's a 100% sell-through rate. So there's 90 other competing listings, and then there's also 90 that have sold. So that'd be an item worth picking up because about one would sell every 90 days. So an example of a 50% that you may or may not want to pick up, say there you search something up and there's 10 of them posted and only 5 have sold. Well, so not only you know how often they sell for one, so you see 5 sold in 90 days, you're like, all right, that's roughly 2 a month, close to it. So you're like, all right, so one sells every 2 weeks. And then you also got 10 competing listings. So out of those 10 listings, a buyer's going to come around every 2 weeks. You want to be the one, hopefully, get a sale. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait for the next 2 weeks. So you can kind of judge when an item would sell based off that. So it's kind of like the percentage is, you can base it off how long it would sell. So if it's a 50% sell-through rate, then you would just double 90 days. So you can estimate your item would take 180 days to sell. So that'd be about 6 months. That's kind of the most people aim for. You don't really want to go less than that kind of sell-through rate unless you're going to price the absolute lowest on the market and be able to sell it. So if you have a 200% sell-through rate, so say there's 270 sold and only 90 listed, so that means so many are selling, people can't even compete with it by posting them. So 270 sold, 90 listed, that's going to sell pretty fast. So that's a 300% sell-through rate. So that'll sell most likely in a month, in 30 days. So yeah, so that's kind of how sell-through rate works. Now I got a couple items just around we're going to go through, and I'm going to show you guys, for one, how I would search them up if I was in a thrift store, and also how to check the sell-through rate to see whether it's worth picking up or not and whether I would pick it up. Alright guys, so as you can see here, so I just click on the little camera in the top right, and then you want to scan the barcode here. So next what you want to do is, so I'm just scrolling through here, you want to click filter in the top left and sort to used, and you can see that there's 2 listed there. And then next you go to filter completed sold, and there's 3 sold. So that was an item that's worth picking up. So as you can see, this was an item worth picking up. So all I did was walk in a thrift store. I scanned this barcode. I checked and filtered to used, and then I filtered to the sold comps and saw that there is 2 listed and 3 sold. So to find that sell-through rate, you would just divide how many sold by how many listed. So divide 3 by 2 is 1.5, and then just take out the decimal out of 0, 150% sell-through rate. So that's a great pickup. Again, I do anything above 50, so, and then anything above 100 is really good. That's what you really want to try to go for. So yeah, so I picked this up, so this was a worth pickup. And let's see if we can find any other items I can show you guys here. So as far as looking items up, so we had that dessert maker, anything in a box, whether it's brand new or used in the box, you would just scan the barcodes, the easiest way to do it. You can also take a picture of items on eBay. Again, you would just hit the search bar, filter to the camera, and then instead of barcode, click image, and you can take pictures of an item. And then the final way to look items up, you can obviously just search it up if you know the exact name of it, just type it in. But like something like this, like I saw this at the thrift store, I picked it up for $3. I gotta know exactly what it is. So a lot of electronics and stuff, you always want to flip them over, and sometimes you gotta look. Sometimes it's hard to find them, sometimes it's not. But so I just go to this model number here, and then eBay, I would type this in, and then sometimes you're gonna want to follow it up with the brand name, so you might have to type that model number, that brand name. But sometimes just the model number will work. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to check the sell-through rate on this item here, which I believe is some type of pancake maker. So we're going to check that out. All right, so now just act like we're at the thrift store here. So I find the pancake maker. So now I flip it over, and I'm just going to type in the model number here. And as I type it in, the brand didn't come up, so I'm just going to go ahead and type in the brand or what the item is. So I type in the brand here, and you can see it popped up there. So as you can see, it says there's 42 listed, but this is new and used. So I'm going to want to filter to used so we get the more of the used market. I see that there's 25 used here. So now I'm just scrolling through. You can kind of check the prices on an item to see kind of what you're going to post it for. And I even sort to the lowest pricing here if you want to see what the lowest one on the market is. And then next, I'm just going to go back to best match. And then we're going to filter over. Again, scroll down until you see the completed and sold items. And you see that there's 20 sold here. So I scroll through, kind of checking what they're actually selling for as well. You want to look at that. So with 25 listed and 20 sold. So again, then you want to do 20 sold divided by 25, and you'll get an 80% sell-through. Again, and so I went through and I saw this was an 80% sell-through rate, so it was worth picking up. As far as checking profit margins, you just want to figure out kind of what you're willing to do for it, and you'll just kind of get a hang of it with how much items cost to ship. Like something like this, you know, depending on where it's going, on the cheaper end might be like $8, and the more expensive end maybe $18. But you can set it to calculated shipping, so then it'll automatically figure out the price for you. But this would be worth picking up then. So I've showed you a couple items worth picking up. Now let's see if we can find something that I've had for a while. So I'm guessing it has a bad sell-through, something like this. And we are going to scan this in and see what the sell-through rate on this is. So if I was just walking to the thrift store, I kind of saw this hanging out, I'd be like, all right, I'd grab it. I see that it's new in box, so the first thing I would want to do is look for a barcode. There it is. So we're going to scan that in now and check its sell-through rate. All right, so I'm walking to the thrift store. I found this item here. Now I'm scanning the barcode. So I see that there's 27 listed, but I'm going to filter to new, which there's 26 listed, so almost the same thing. So next I'm going to scroll down here and filter to sold and completed, and then I see only 3 have sold. So with only 3 sold and you're competing with 25 other people, that's not a good sell-through rate. So we're about to go to the calculator here to figure this out. So once we're in the calculator, I'm just going to do, I accidentally typed 25, but you want to do 3, since there's 3 listed, divided by 25, and that's going to give you a 12% sell-through rate. So again, that's below 50, so it's not really something you want to be going for. So again, just to review, personally I go for anything that's above 50% sell-through rate. Anything above 100 you definitely want to grab. So just keep in mind, if it's a 25% sell-through rate, then you might be sitting on that for 270 days, about 3/4 of a year. If it's a 50% sell-through rate, which is about the max limit you kind of want to go for, you may be sitting on that item for 6 months. 100% sell-through rate, the most likely you would be sitting on it for is 90 days, 3 months. Unless you're just priced too high, then of course it's not going to sell. And it can go the other way too. If you price cheaper, it's going to sell quick. Like a 100% sell-through rate item, and if you price the lowest one, the cheapest on the market or close to it, it'll probably sell in like a day or two. So it really goes, your pricing can increase how often it sells. As far as looking up items, again, I'm just walking out the thrift store. I'll just pull out my phone, start looking it up. You know, sometimes people are looking over like, oh, what's he doing? What's he doing? Who cares? I just start looking up items. One time I even had an old lady. She was like, this is why those thrift store prices are so high. He's selling that stuff online. I was like, yep, I am, and I don't care. But you just want to look up stuff. So anything barcode is the easiest way. You can also try taking an image picture of it. That'll work most of the time, but if it's kind of like a generic item, then it might not come up, or it might get other similar stuff. So then it's kind of hard to find your sell-through rate. But again, electronics and stuff, just check for model numbers. And that's how I decide whether it's worth picking up an item or not. So hope that helps you guys out, answer some questions. That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching.